Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are. Niccolo Machiavelli. There's a reason some men seem to effortlessly attract women, while others constantly struggle, chase, and get nowhere. If you've ever felt like the harder you try, the more distant she becomes, you're not imagining things. It's a real psychological paradox. The more effort you show, the less interested she feels. And yet, there are men who don't say much, don't try hard, don't seem to chase, and somehow women gravitate toward them. What's going on? The truth is, attraction isn't about looks, money, or even status, not on a primal level. It's about how a man carries himself. It's the mindset, presence, self-mastery. And no one understood this better than Niccolo Machiavelli. Often misunderstood as just a manipulator, Machiavelli was actually a master of human psychology. He knew that power doesn't come from being aggressive. It comes from being strategic, calculated, emotionally untouchable. In this video, we're going to break down 5 hidden rules of attraction based on Machiavellian strategy. This isn't about playing games. It's not about becoming someone fake. It's about becoming someone rare. Someone grounded, desirable, and in control, not just of others, but of himself. Follow these rules, and you'll stop chasing women. Instead, they'll chase you. Let's get into it. Rule 1. Build your value. Let her chasten. Most men are taught that they need to win women over by showing constant attention. They're told to text often, compliment her endlessly, and always be available. But here's the catch. This kind of eagerness sends a loud, unspoken message. I'm not enough on my own. I need to earn your attention. Now picture 2 men both interested in the same woman. One is always texting, calling, and showering her with compliments. The other? Calm, composed. He gives her attention when they're together, but is focused on his life outside of her. He doesn't flood her phone with messages or try to constantly get her attention. Who do you think she's more drawn to? Almost always, it's the second guy. Why? Because he gives off a subtle but powerful signal. I don't need you to feel valuable. I already am. His restraint creates curiosity. His limited availability makes his attention feel rare. And rarity breeds value. When a man chases relentlessly, he places a woman on a pedestal and unknowingly lowers himself. That desperation is easy to feel, and it flips a psychological switch. People don't value what they don't have to earn. If your time and energy are always available, they lose their meaning. But when you're selective with your attention, it becomes a reward, something worth chasing. This isn't about being manipulative or playing games. It's about actually being someone who is hard to get because you have a life, goals, and purpose that come first. You're not just pretending to be busy. You are busy, building, growing, evolving. When you do spend time with her, be fully present. Make those moments count. But when you're apart, let go of the urge to keep chasing. Send one thoughtful message, then go back to your work, your training, your vision. That calm detachment changes everything. What happens next is almost counterintuitive. The more you stop chasing, the more women lean in. Why? Because now you're different. You're not like the others. You're not acting from need. You're acting from strength. She begins to wonder, why isn't he chasing me? What's he doing? What makes him different? That curiosity is powerful. And when she starts putting in effort to get your attention, her investment grows. People value what they work for, and that includes emotional connection. A woman who feels like she had to earn your attention will respect it far more than one who thinks it was just handed to her. This is a straight Machiavellian strategy. It's often wiser to draw people in on your terms than to chase them on theirs. When you stand firm in your value, you invite her into your world instead of scrambling to fit into hers. So take this to heart. Stop chasing. Slow down. Let her rise to your level. Become the prize, and let her earn your attention, not the other way around. Rule 2. Keep some secrets. Stay mysterious. One of the most common mistakes men make early in dating is revealing too much too fast. They treat the first few conversations like confessionals, laying out their life story, all their thoughts, emotions, and long-term plans as if full transparency is the key to attraction. It's not. While honesty matters in any meaningful connection, initial attraction doesn't grow from complete openness, it grows from curiosity. Attraction needs something to chase, to figure out, to wonder about. And when everything is known, there's nothing left to discover. Now picture 2 scenarios. One guy spends a date telling his whole story, from childhood to every job, every heartbreak, every future goal. By the end of the evening, she's heard everything. There's no mystery left. Now picture another man. He shares a few unique highlights, maybe a project he's excited about or a hobby she didn't expect. He listens more than he speaks. He stays relaxed, gives space for silence, and lets the moment breathe. He drops hints, not full biographies. That man leaves her wondering, what's his story? What else is there? That tension, the unknown, is what creates intrigue. And intrigue is the lifeblood of attraction. This isn't about withholding honesty. It's about pacing, about letting her discover who you are gradually. You don't need to unload every detail of your past or every thought in your head. If she asks about your day, tell her. But you don't have to give a play-by-play. Let her imagination do some of the work. This extends to social media, too. In a world where people constantly overshare, a little restraint makes you stand out. You don't need to post your every move or thought. When people don't know everything, they fill in the blanks, and often they do so in your favor. Even your silence can create presence. If she doesn't always know what you're doing, who you're with, or what you're thinking, she becomes more curious. That curiosity keeps her engaged, and unpredictability is part of this mystery. Be consistent in your character, but not in your patterns. Maybe one day you plan something spontaneous. Another day you disappear into your own space to focus on your goals. You don't explain everything, and you don't have to, because that subtle unpredictability reminds her, you're not just waiting around. You have your own rhythm. The key is this: you are not hiding. You are simply not giving yourself away too easily. You are not an open book for anyone to read on the first page. You are a story meant to be discovered over time. And that's exactly what keeps her coming back. Page by page, moment by moment, deeper into who you are. Mystery isn't manipulation. It's a sign that you value yourself enough not to put everything on display. So resist the urge to overshare. Let her feel the tension of the unknown, because that quiet mystery, it draws her in more powerfully than any words ever could. Rule 3. Stay calm, stay in control. Nothing kills attraction faster than emotional instability. You can be successful, stylish, even charismatic, but if you crumble under pressure, that image falls apart instantly. Many men sabotage themselves not with what they say, but with how they react. The moment something goes wrong, a delayed text, a canceled plan, a teasing comment, they panic. They lash out, become passive-aggressive, or spiral into overthinking. And the worst part? They often think this reaction shows how much they care. But here's the truth. A man who can't control his emotions comes across as fragile, and fragility does not inspire attraction. It signals insecurity, and insecurity is the one thing that quietly repels others, especially women. Now imagine this. She cancels on you last minute. One guy sends 5 frustrated texts full of guilt-tripping or neediness. The other? He calmly replies, "No worries," and continues with his day. Guess which one holds more power? The second man doesn't react because he's indifferent. He reacts that way because he's grounded. He knows that one change of plans doesn't affect his entire identity. He doesn't let his emotional balance depend on anyone else's behavior. And that's what makes him powerful. Women, whether they're aware of it or not, often test a man's emotional composure. She might pull away slightly, she might tease, she might be unpredictable. These aren't always games. Sometimes they're unconscious ways of asking, can you handle life without losing control? And when you can, that calm confidence becomes magnetic. It shows you're not easily shaken. You don't need to control the situation. You're already in control of yourself. Emotional strength also means resisting infatuation. It's easy to get caught up, to feel like she's everything after 2 dates. But obsession is not love. Rushing to declare feelings or planning a future when you barely know her isn't romantic. It's a red flag. A sovereign man knows how to feel deeply without losing his center. If you catch yourself thinking about her constantly, that's your signal to refocus. Reconnect with your purpose, your mission, your circle. You can want someone, even deeply, without needing them to feel whole. In practical terms, this means don't text in the heat of emotion. Don't beg for reassurance. When something triggers you, take a breath. Respond with clarity, not with desperation. Over time, this becomes second nature. Your emotions stay balanced. Your presence becomes steady. And that steadiness, it's rare. It's respected. It creates a space where a woman can feel safe, not just physically, but emotionally. And most of all, it shows this. You are not here to perform. You are not ruled by impulse. You are the calm in the storm. And when life gets chaotic, you don't collapse, you lead. Lead fear. Know your limits. Expect respect. Kindness, generosity, and being easygoing are great traits, but without boundaries, they become weaknesses. If you let a woman treat you however she wants, ignore red flags, and tolerate disrespect just to keep the peace, you're not being kind. You're being controlled. Here's what most men get wrong. They think being endlessly patient, flexible, and forgiving will win her over. But in reality, it sends one clear message. I don't respect myself. And if you don't respect yourself, neither will she. Machiavelli once said that a leader who cannot command respect will lose his kingdom. In dating, if you don't stand up for your value, you'll lose her attraction, even if she doesn't fully understand why. Respect and attraction are 2 sides of the same coin. You cannot have one without the other. We've all seen it play out. The man who's always available. She cancels plans last minute, and he forgives her without question. She flirts with other guys in front of him, and he stays silent. She mocks him playfully, and he laughs along, hoping it will make her like him more. It never does, because deep down she's watching for something. She's wondering, will he check me? Will he call this out? Does he have any backbone? And when the answer is no, she loses respect, sometimes slowly, sometimes instantly. But once it's gone, attraction follows. Now picture a different kind of man. Calm, respectful, but clear. If something crosses the line, he doesn't stay silent. He speaks up. Not with anger, not with drama, but with certainty. Maybe she teases him too far. He lets her know, I'm not into that kind of joke. Maybe she starts canceling plans repeatedly. He says, my time matters and I don't chase inconsistency. This man isn't aggressive. He's not trying to control her. He's simply showing that he values himself, and that changes everything. Here's the most important part. When you set a boundary, you have to mean it. You have to be willing to follow through. If you say, I won't tolerate disrespect, but keep tolerating it, your words lose all weight. And women notice that instantly. Boundaries are not rules for her, they're standards for you. They define what kind of behavior you accept, not just from others, but from yourself. And most women will test boundaries, especially early on. It's not always conscious, and it's not always malicious. It's human. Maybe she shows up late. Maybe she pushes your buttons to see what you'll do. How you respond teaches her everything she needs to know. If you fold, she learns you're willing to compromise your dignity for her approval. But if you hold firm, calmly, respectfully, she sees a man who knows what he stands for. That's rare, and it's deeply attractive. Because no confident woman wants a man who abandons himself to keep her happy. She may appreciate the attention at first, but over time, she'll feel the imbalance. And once your world starts to orbit around her, she instinctively pulls away. Women want to feel chosen. But they want to be chosen by a man with standards. A man who knows his worth. A man who values respect over validation. So don't be afraid to draw the line. Yes, it might feel risky. Yes, it might even push her away. But the alternative? Letting someone walk over your self-worth to keep them close. That's not love. That's quiet self-betrayal. True attraction doesn't grow from constant agreement. It grows from mutual respect. And it starts with the respect you show yourself. Rule 5. Preserve your freedom. Stay sovereign. A man without a mission is a man who can be moved. A man with a mission, he becomes the gravitational center that everything else revolves around. One of the most attractive traits a man can have is direction, purpose, sovereignty. Not just the ability to lead, but the refusal to be led away from who he is. Being sovereign doesn't mean being cold, detached, or unavailable. It means your life already has structure. You have goals that matter, a vision that pulls you forward. You don't cancel your gym session, abandon your project, or forget your priorities just because someone texts, "Can you come over?" You don't bend your whole life around a woman, not because you don't care, but because you care deeply about your own path. And that's what makes her care even more. Machiavelli taught that the prince must rule his own kingdom before trying to rule anything else. And your life is your kingdom. If you don't rule it, someone else will. Too many men lose themselves in the rush of attraction. They meet someone they like, and slowly they start giving up ground. They sacrifice their habits, their goals, even their values, just to keep her happy. And at first she might appreciate the effort. But then something shifts. She senses the imbalance. You're no longer leading your life, you're following hers. And without realizing it, she starts to lose the very attraction she once felt. Why? Because true desire doesn't come from being someone's everything. It comes from being someone they want to be part of, not someone who's waiting to be completed. You want her to feel this. He's building something, and I want to be part of it. That's the difference between being magnetic and being dependent. When you stay sovereign, you don't become harder to love. You become harder to forget. You're not chasing affection. You're choosing it, selectively, intentionally, from a place of fullness. And when you do choose her, it means something because you didn't need her. You wanted her. And that distinction is powerful. In a world full of men who orbit around women hoping for scraps of attention, you become rare. A man who stands firm, builds with purpose, and invites others into his world instead of abandoning it. This doesn't mean you ignore your partner. It doesn't mean you avoid vulnerability or refuse to compromise. It means your foundation is solid before anyone else steps onto it. And when both people in a relationship maintain that sense of independence, the connection becomes richer, stronger, more balanced. The time you spend together has weight. It's not born out of need, it's born out of mutual desire. Space becomes a strength, not a threat. Silence becomes comfort, not confusion. Your presence becomes something that brings peace, not pressure. So ask yourself, are you living for approval or living with purpose? Are you leading your life or letting it be led? Because a sovereign man never forgets. He's not just building for now, he's building for legacy. And the woman who recognizes that, she won't just stay, she'll rise with you, becoming the man women chase. Now that we've explored the 5 Machiavellian rules, it's time to connect the dots. Because these aren't random tips. They're pieces of a system, a mindset, a way of moving through the world that flips the entire dating script upside down. Think about what each rule really teaches you. Rule 1, build your value. Let her chase. This is about flipping the dynamic. Instead of chasing, you focus on yourself. You build a life that speaks for you. A life that doesn't need constant validation to feel complete. And as you pull back from the chase, you naturally start pulling others toward you. Rule 2, keep some secrets. Stay mysterious. This is the power of curiosity. You don't reveal everything. You let her wonder. You give her something to explore. Because mystery isn't manipulation, it's pacing. And pacing is what keeps the dance alive. Rule 3, stay calm, stay in control. This is the core of emotional strength. You don't let your mood be controlled by someone else's actions. You don't panic when plans change or texts get delayed. You move with calm energy, and that energy is magnetic. Rule 4, know your limits, expect respect. This is self-respect in action. You set clear standards, you hold the line, and when that line is tested, you respond with quiet confidence. Not aggression, not fear. Because if you won't enforce your standards, no one else will. Rule 5, preserve your freedom. Stay sovereign. This is your foundation, your sense of purpose, your direction. You don't lose yourself in love. You stay rooted in your own path. And from that place of sovereignty, you offer her something most men can't, a stable presence, a powerful frame, a life worth joining. Together, these 5 rules form one simple truth. You don't attract women by trying harder. You attract them by becoming harder to shake. You don't earn respect by proving your worth. You earn it by knowing it, living it, and never compromising it. The man who masters these principles doesn't beg for attention. He doesn't lose himself in pursuit. He doesn't crumble under pressure. He becomes the calm in the storm, the one who leads with clarity, the one who doesn't need to explain himself, because everything about his presence already speaks volumes. That's the transformation Machiavelli points us toward. Not a life of manipulation, but of strategy. Not a game of tricks, but of discipline. Not a performance to impress others, but a quiet mastery of yourself. And once you begin to live this way, you don't just change how women respond to you. You change how the world responds to you. You stop asking, how do I get her to like me? And you start asking, is she aligned with the life I'm building? Because when you become the man women chase, You're no longer chasing. You're choosing. And that right there is the real power. If you've made it this far, it means something important. You're not like most men. You're not here for tricks or gimmicks. You're here for transformation. You want to stop chasing and start commanding. And now you have the blueprint. These 5 rules are not about becoming someone else. They're about revealing a version of you that's already there. The grounded, composed, high-value man who leads his own life with clarity and direction. So let's recap your new code of attraction. 1. Build your value. Let her chase. Focus on your purpose. Let your life speak louder than your words. 2. Keep some secrets. Stay mysterious. Don't rush to be fully known. Give her the joy of discovering you piece by piece. 3. Stay calm. Stay in control. Emotional self-mastery isn't just power, it's peace, and peace is rare. 4. Know your limits. Expect respect. You're not afraid to walk away, and that's why people walk toward you. 5. Preserve your freedom. Stay sovereign. You don't orbit around anyone. You lead, and you let others choose to follow. If you live by these principles, not just in dating, but in your friendships, your work, your daily choices, you'll start to feel something shift. People will respond to you differently. They'll listen when you speak. They'll lean in when you're silent. They'll respect your time, your space, and your standards. And most of all, you'll respect yourself. Because this journey, it's not about impressing women. It's about becoming the kind of man who never needs to. Let me ask you this. Which of these 5 rules are you going to master first? Drop your answer in the comments. I want to know who's really ready to step into this new level. And when you see that shift in your life, when you feel the power of living this way, come back and type, "The game changed when I changed." That's how you lock it in. And if this message hit you where it counts, subscribe. This channel is for men who are done with confusion, done with chasing, and ready to lead. We break down timeless psychology, strategy, and masculine mastery. No fluff. So if you're on that journey, you're already in the right place. This isn't about chasing attention anymore. It's about becoming the man who gets it naturally. Attraction isn't something you beg for. It's something you command. Until next time, stay focused, stay sovereign,